Singaporeans are regarded as more system thinkers rather than creative people. We always follow rules and regulations. How can Singaporeans be more driven by innovation?
It's a very important question, and there's no silver bullet. There's no one answer to it. It's a whole culture. I think our starting point is not bad. People who take education seriously, they spend a lot of time trying to do well. It's a good starting point. But we have to reduce our emphasis on exams and grades very early in life and provide more free space for people to think a lot more for themselves, express themselves, and very importantly, also not have education totally separate from the real world, totally separate from the practical. Regardless of whether you're in poly or university or ITE, the future of education must involve more of this intertwining of the academic and the practical. When you bring the academic and practical together, you tend to think of innovations, you tend to think about how we can do something better. I was reading, for instance, about the Singapore Poly students who devised these innovations that Boeing has now patented for its jets. They're interesting innovations. One of them had to do with a new larder system for the very small kitchens on the aircraft. It's much more practical for the cabin crew. There was another innovation they had that had to do with the sink tops in that very small kitchen. And they borrowed some lessons from Ya Kun's sink tops where the water could go through the holes. So creativity is not just about a few people with totally new ideas. It's about looking for improvements everywhere around us.
I agree with that. I mean, necessity is the mother of all invention. Innovation is a net sum of speed, intelligence, and convenience. If you wrap these three into a solution, everything becomes an innovation.
But some people say we're not hungry enough. There's no need to think because everything works perfectly. How do we create an environment where we can actually let creativity and innovation flourish? You can't teach it.
No, because in some stages of our education system, when you question, it's seen as dissent. You basically kill innovation right there. And that's something we need to come out of.
I think for school, in the Singapore system specifically, train the concept of first principles very well. And then we try to test it in various forms, including 10-year series, on how to twist the question to see if we understand the fundamental principle. Perhaps one thing that could help a little bit more is maybe go the other angle, which is how to problem solve. Meaning giving students a problem or a question on how to do something better and seeing how students respond to making something better. And that could spark creativity as well. For me, I don't think I was a typical personality in school. I did well academically, but it wasn't as well as, the president's scholars. I think I was afforded a good path, but I could see that I would never reach there. Hence, I started exploring other avenues. So after JC, I took a year off to see what else I could do. And I part worked, part studied, and part explored. I know there are other things out there for me. I left investment banking to join something that was relatively new in 2012, which was e-commerce and tech.
But the fact that you made that switch, there's something about you that's not typically Singaporean.
Well, I think I try not to play it too safe sometimes.
Having worked in an American company in Silicon Valley where innovation is very pervasive and widespread, I think one thing we don't see much is how many innovation and startups didn't make it to the market. Right. I think it's necessary for us to tolerate failure, accepting that not everything will pan out as planned, allowing people to move in different directions, not necessarily expecting brilliant results. And within my own workspace, we have 10 great ideas seemingly, but typically one or half make it to the market. But that's the process of innovation for us too.
Passion is a very important ingredient. But some people would say that, look, passion is for the young. They have the time, they have less to lose. At our age, a bit hard to reinvent ourselves because we have practical issues to worry about. So passion, practical issues, which is more important?
The thing about innovation and creativity is that it comes from within us. It's an intrinsic motivation. It's not about external targets. It's not about a grade in an examination. It really has to come from within us. And it doesn't come within a set time frame. Some people work for years because they are really passionate about something. They work for years at it before finally there's a breakthrough, finally there's something different. So it's a different time frame, but more fundamentally, it's a different motivation. If you're really interested in something, and if we provide opportunities for kids from young to develop an interest of their own, and want to do something in their own way, I think we'll have a more innovative climate coming up one way or another. The younger generation is going to grow up quite differently. You can already see it, more of them doing their own thing. It's a different generation.
I have a couple of interns with me now. I was just asking them, how would you distinguish yourself from others? You have to do something that can disrupt the market. A very good example is Uber. They don't even own a fleet of taxi, but they are making good progress in terms of job opportunities.
Singaporeans are generally not known to be very excitable people. How do we light that fire?
But you know, you look at Japan, look at Korea, look at many Chinese cities. They've got an Asian culture like us. Not very expressive, but Japan's a highly innovative society in every area. We mustn't think that innovation and creativity is something completely different from skills, attention to detail, trying to do a very good job. It's actually conjoined. If you look at Japanese innovations, there's a tremendous eye to detail in all of them, trying to figure out what a customer likes, anticipating the service that a customer needs. It's a real eye to detail. But it's an innovation because they do it better than others. And it stays in the mind of the customer.
DPM, you talked about passion, you talked about empathy, not really about hard skills. So it seems to me that those, apart from technology and enterprises, what would be the key ingredients for our economy?
Let's not think that an innovative society doesn't require hard skills. The most innovative societies are founded on people who are really passionate about a skill they're doing, whether it's as a machinist or a cook or a fashion designer or a doctor or a surgeon. Whichever skill is required has to be done to the highest level. But the point that's coming out of this discussion, which is useful, is that to be innovative and not just competent in what we do, starting from young, everyone must have a bit of a mind of both arts and science in them. So innovation comes from many sources. It's both left brain and right brain at the same time. And we have to groom a generation that grows up loving the arts, even if they're not very good at art themselves. But because there's something quirky about it, there's something that makes them question, and it's that same questioning mind that leads to advances in the hard technical areas.